but also brought down the population of other states. Their employment rate took a hit as well, as people were quitting their jobs so they could embark on the journeys. The California gold rush finally came to an end in 1855. The extraction of gold from the river was done by dust panning, with most dust panning was normally done by prospectors. Dust panning is when someone dunks a pan into the water to collect it. Then they pour the water back into the river. Since water is a liquid that is lighter than gold, it pours out quicker. 338 means it leaves all the gold and...
Yes, there's a few more like the Mexican Revolution. Why not read this?
Also lead to significant conflict reaching across the US-Mexico. Also lead to significant conflict reaching across the US-Mexico border, which was...
We have some Mexico there. Crocodile, Mexico, Mexico City. Duplicates Mexican Revolution. Then we have the Mexican border war.
Tom, 1910 to 1919.
Duplicates Mexican border war, but then we got a little bit more trails than mentioned. Chillicothe Trail, I don't have that. Let's find it. Duplicates Chillicothe Trail there. And then a little bit of mining, but that's many days. But I have this American River.
Tom, when he...
I know what that is. Let's look what it is. Maybe we have a river with that name. Do we have a river called American River? Okay, that's American River. It's a 30 miles long river in California, run from Sierra Nevada. Okay, we can read about that. Whether he did find, he did start the gold rush. Maybe we should read about him too. He did start the gold rush in California. But now I have like 50. John Marshall, carpenter and sawmill. He did find the gold. Yes, he did start the gold rush. Sawmill. Should we read about sawmill? And carpenters, that's what they do in the Wild West, they do the carpenting. But now we have like 60, we cannot do more because then my computer will explode, my computer will total crash. I have to save all this 60. But we got the dust panning. I like this one. This is how you are finding the gold in the rivers. I have the California gold rush we have there, but not save it. Duplicate dust panning, but now I have more like Dust painting, no. Gold penning. Gold penning there. We can read about how to do the gold penning. Prospectors.
Tom.
No, that's gold. Gold prospectors. Yes, prospecting is the first stage of geological analyze minerals. That's history there. Gold rushes. Gold prospecting. Yes, but now we got like we cannot open more because then I maybe I damage my computer. I have like 70 PDF. Not open more. Yes, we have to. We got 7 more pages. I have to check my cell phone. I got my YouTube money today. No, that was a message from my McDonald's app. Nothing important. It's but this is 1 hour, no, 48 minutes. So let's try finish this one, and then I upload this, charge the camcorder, and then I have to start. Download all this 70. But that could be super good. I could get this to my YouTube channel.
Other metals behind. Making it easy for someone to pick up the gold from there. Even though this happened before the Wild West era, it was one of the biggest reasons why the Wild West was a thing in the first place. 339. But even after the California gold rush, a miner was still a very common job to have. Most mountainside towns likely had a mine shaft. Most miners were poor, as mining was a very labor-intensive job. Miners would use pickaxes in order to mine into the mountains. The mine shafts that were dug into were poorly upkept. Being damp, poorly lit, and complex, it made it easy to get lost in the tunnels. The things miners collected were gold, zinc, copper, and asbestos. These metals were sold to shopkeepers and rich people for currency. Miners were paid a salary of $1.70 per day. 337. Women. The women of the Wild West were treated very poorly. Women were seen as the helpers for the children, so most of the occupations that were available to them involved handling children. One of these jobs was atiasha, which requires tertiary education. Women were allowed to attend universities to study teaching. Some women also worked in predominantly male positions. There were cowgirls, female business owners, female gunslingers, and female bounty hunters. 340. Women had less lawful protection compared to men. They also were not allowed in saloons, and their husbands were able to control almost every corner of their lives. 341. Soldiers. The soldiers were very helpful, but most people do not even know about the existence of Wild Western soldiers. They built shelter, helped the emigrants, and guarded government and private property. They were usually peaceful, but a force to be reckoned with. They had access to most rifles in the country. There were not a lot of soldiers, because the Civil War was devastating the amount of soldiers, going from an army of 54,000 men down to only 25,000 men. 341 railroaders. The railroaders were responsible for the construction of railroads. Most of the railroad workers were Irish immigrants who needed a job. They were obligated to work. They were living off $1 a day, but their job is what kept them fed. 342. The big thing that the railroaders are responsible for is the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. The massive project took 6 years to complete. The work environment was awful. They were exposed to toxic chemicals, sometimes worked around mountain sides that they frequently fell off of, and frequently worked around high-voltage electricity and moving trains. They also sometimes had to use expired dynamite to blast holes into mountains in order to create tunnels. But expired dynamite is unpredictable, meaning it frequently explodes early, which left permanent damage to a few unlucky individuals. 342 loggers. A logger was a labor-intensive occupation. The job was a fairly common occupation to have in this era, similarly to miners and railroad workers. Many people pursued these careers, but was ultimately rigorous. Loggers were paid more than both miners and railroaders combined, making $3.20 every day. 343.
Yes.
Tom.
I had to, that's the kind of job they have in the old Wild West. There were rail workers, railroaders and farmers and loggers and miners. We need to have a little bit of that. But now I'm afraid I'm damaged my computer because duplicates. Rail workers, railroads, yes, rail transports. We can have that, but that's nothing. We can do that. This is a good long one. We can have the history of rail transports. We can do that. But that was not I was looking. But I'm a little bit afraid I damaged my computer. Of course, I have more than 70. What about the miners? A miner.
Tom. Was still a very common job to have. Most mountainside.
Yes, that's a miner, but that's just a short one. A miners. No. That's just some minor. No, that's too short. No, let's just continue. Railroaders. Try to search this.
Tom.
Or railroaders, railroad workers. No, that's the same there. What about railroad workers? No, we have that. Let's close it. Let's finish this. I have There's lot of reading. Yes, 55 minutes. It's 10:30. Let's get some cola. I think the temperature is rising. Yes, I think the temperature is rising to 28, and it's only 10:30, so that'd be like 29 or 30 today. But I got my YouTube money today, but I'm out of the lemonade, but I'm not going to do a lot today. It's just Monday today. Just drinking some water. Now we have a bit cola there. So I can go shopping later or tomorrow. I just got my YouTube money and it saved like $130 to my bank account, to my bills, but that's for my electricity bill August. Next month's August. Yes. And I'm not going to eat so much food today. Monday and Tuesday I just eat a little bit bread and fruit. And Wednesday I will eat this meatballs with rice and curry. Yes, let's try to finish this one. Oh, that's very dusty. So I record 1 hour. So I think I've got six or 8 more pages left. About page 50. From page 50 something we have 20 pages of references and links and stuff, notes, all kind of stuff.
To cut down trees, lumberjacks had many tools to help them in the process. To cut down trees, they would send multiple loggers depending on the size of the tree. From there, they would use double-sided axes to hack the base of the tree. After the tree collapsed, if the tree was too big to chop with the double-sided axes, they would use a gigantic saw called a crosscut. These saws could be over 12 feet in length. 344, and for transportation, they would either float the logs down a river, a profession known as log driving, or use a high wheel loader to lift the massive logs that were strapped together using rope. Another rope wasted to oxen. Then the oxen would pull the logs to wherever they needed to be. 345. Natives. Indigenous peoples lived in North America before the arrival of European settlers. Norse explorer Leif Erikson is thought to have been the first European to set foot on continental North America and encountered indigenous American in 1001 CE. 346. The settlers of the Wild West era were even harsher to the Native Americans than past generations. The native population declined during this period from epidemics, violence, and war. Some historians have described their treatment as genocide. 347, 348, chieftains. The chiefs were the leaders of the Native American tribes. The chieftains were responsible for emboldening other tribe members, and the creation of welfare programs for everyone. However, the formation of first Indian reservations significantly reduced the power of chieftains, as they were now having to work with lifelong enemies in order to survive. 349. Frontiersmen. The frontiersmen were the explorers of the Old West. In 1803, Thomas Jefferson closed